Hello students and family members, this is Mr. Panza. Today we have two focus questions. The first, how do we convert time measurement? And the second question, how do we determine the best unit of measurement for events that involve time? Let's start with the first question. In order to convert time, we need to know these three basic steps. First, you'll be given, but you should also start to know the basic time facts. I'll show you those in just a second. 2, write the basic time fact that we were just talking about underneath the conversion question. Make sure your units are matchy-matchy. In other words, second on top of seconds, and minutes on top of minutes, or hours on top of hours. Then, either divide or multiply to finish the conversion. Here's how you'll know whether to divide or multiply. Just remember that if it's small to big, it's a division gig. And if it's big to small, multiply them all. But never use the 1 in the equation to multiply or divide. So let's take these 3 steps and our conversion measurements chant. Take a look at an example and try 5 questions on your own. For our first example here, you can see I'm attempting, or I want you to take 10 hours and turn it into minutes. So the first thing I need to know is the basic fact for hours to minutes. 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. I'm going from a large unit of time measurement to a small unit of time measurement. From 10 hours to how many minutes? So if it's big to small, I multiply them all. In other words, I do 60 times 10 to convert to minutes. So in this example, because you can see the 10 hours is across from the 60 minutes, I multiply them all. And 60 times 10 is 600 minutes. Let's take a look at a few examples where you'll try them on your own. Question 1. If I wanted to know how many minutes was equal to 8 hours, I follow these steps and the chant to solve. You try this one by yourself. If 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes, 8 hours is equal to how many minutes? Once again, you are going from a big unit to small, so I multiply them all. And 60 times 8 is 480 minutes. 480 minutes. Let's take a look at the next question and see if you can use these strategies as I start to pull some of the hints away. This time I'm trying to see how many hours are in 120 minutes. My basic fact, 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. Minutes on top of minutes, hours on top of hours. And now I'm going from a small unit to a big unit. Small to big, division gig. Try this one out. Good luck. Based on the fact that it's a division gig, and because my big number 120 is on top of 60, I'm dividing 120 by 60 to determine that 120 minutes equals 2 hours. Let's take a look at another example, and you can try it yourself. This time we're taking 30 minutes and seeing how many seconds are in those 30 minutes. Step 1, basic fact, put it underneath the question, minutes on top of minutes, seconds on top of seconds, and then determine whether you multiply or divide. We're going from a larger unit to small. You should multiply them all. Go ahead and multiply and solve. Because it's big to small, and my 30 is across from my 60, I multiply them all. And 60 times 30 is 1,800. Next example. Now I'm dealing with 360 minutes to seconds. So I've got to find my minutes to seconds basic fact, which once again is 1 minute equals 60 seconds. And based on how this is lined up, or think, am I going big to small? Do I multiply them all? Or is it small to big, a division gig? Try this one out on your own. In case you didn't see it, minutes to seconds are going big to small. So you multiply them all. 360 times 60 gets you 21,600 seconds. Here comes your final question. How many hours are in 360 minutes? Basic fact, 60 minutes equals 1 hour. So think, how do I solve this? And try it on your own. Good luck. In case you didn't already see it, small units, minutes, to big, it's a division gig. Minutes to hours is small to big. I take 360 and I divide it by 60. My answer? 6 total hours. And that is how you convert time measurement. Let's move on to our second question with 5 questions for you. Since we should also know how to estimate which would be the best unit of time measurement to use for different events, you need to know what our long events, medium events, and short events are. In other words, you would use hours to measure long events. Those are your longest events, real long amounts of times. You would use minutes to measure medium events, things that would take you some minutes to do. And then your shortest events would be measured in seconds. As long as you can remember long hours, medium minutes, and short seconds, you'll be able to answer the final 5 questions. Give it a try. The first question asks you to determine the best unit of time measurement for the time it takes a CV track athlete to run a 2-mile race. Hours, minutes, or seconds. What do you think? The answer is minutes. It's going to take a CV track athlete some minutes to complete this 2-mile race. Let's move on to the next question. What is the best unit of time measurement to estimate the amount of time it would take to drive from Smoketown, PA to Pittsburgh, PA? Hours, minutes, or seconds? What do you think? It would take hours to drive from Smoketown to Pittsburgh. Minutes would be too small of a unit, and seconds would be way too small. Let's take a peek at the third question. Get in the car again, and this time drive from Smoketown to Brownstown. Would that take hours, minutes, or seconds? And which is the best estimate? In this case, it would have to be minutes. To drive from Smoketown to Brownstown, it's going to take about 15 minutes in a car. Let's move on to our second to last question. And how about the time it would take to make a bounce pass in a basketball game? Would that take hours, minutes, or seconds? Which is the best estimate in time measurement? Of course, this one would take seconds. You have the ball in your hand, you quickly bounce it across the floor to a teammate. That takes a couple of seconds. Let's move on to our 5th and final question. Good luck. Now let's hop aboard a plane. What is the best unit of time measurement to estimate the time it's going to take to fly from one state to another? So for example, if you're flying from Pennsylvania to Florida, would that take hours, minutes, or seconds? My answer here is, of course, hours. So as long as you can remember, hours is used to measure long events, minutes somewhere in the middle, and seconds are those really, really short events. You'll be good to know which are your best units of measurement to use when estimating the amount of time something will take. And in short, that answers our 2 questions for today. How do we determine the best unit of measurement for events that involve amounts of time? And how do we convert time measurements? Thanks for stopping by. I hope this video helps.